sitting down. Where my way, my way, my way. When umkhulwane, when love ugazi, nangithina siyakudinga. Where my way, my way, my way. Oh, wena nomkhulwane, wena ndlovukazi, nakuthina siyakudinga. Where my way, my way, my way. Wena nomkhulwane, wendlovukazi, nakwintombi ziyakudinga. Where my way, my way, my way. Wena nomkhulwane, wena mama wethu, nakwintombi ziyakudinga. Where my way, my way, my way. Wena nomkhulwane, wena mama wethu, nangomama bakudinga. Where my way, my way, my way. Thokozani Qamakwini Lesedihanya Thobela Ndaweshewe Dumelang Kwaziwai Muribwanji Habari Gani Nangadev Hotep. Hi family, I hope you guys can hear me. Can you all hear me well? Please tap the screen. Let's see how many more people we're having today. This is less of a teaching but more of someone's like, finally I could get in from Dubai. Hello, Pauline from Dubai. How are you? How is everyone doing? Ooh, yeah, I thought I'd come on here and speaking Kiswahili. I try to make sure that my whole family, at least those I identify, feel at home. Togoza Noni, Togoza Winona, how are you? I thought I heard Kalanga. I don't know which one you heard, but Karanga and Kalanga seem very similar, right? So maybe it's when I said Kwaziwai, I'm not sure. But Chikalanga and Chikaranga, those are same people in so many ways historically. So I understand Kalanga very well, and I know that I have certain friends who are Kalanga who understand Chikaranga as well. So welcome everybody. Welcome family. I thought I'd bring a topic here. It's not a very savory topic. Actually, it's a topic that I think it's been trending probably just the last couple of days, and I'll give the backstory. I'm sure many of you have seen somebody's okay, so Habari Gani, hearing from where? Tampa, Florida. Welcome from Tampa, Florida. It's nice to have everybody here, and today, because I'm not trying to kind of push out a teaching quickly as messages coming, I can relax a little bit with you. Look, I've got myself a cup of pea flower tea. It's a very blue tea that has numerous benefits. Look, have you ever seen a tea like this color? But anyway, numerous benefits. Look it up. So I've got my tea here, and I thought, let me come in and discuss this thing with the family because I really want to know your views about this whole issue. So let me outline what I know so far. So it turns out that there was a Russian guy, and this Russian guy, the first story I heard was there's a Russian guy who went to Kenya, and then it seems there's a Russian guy who went to Ghana. So I'll start with the one I saw first. It was commentary about a Russian guy who went to Kenya. And when he went to Kenya, he basically was sourcing women, and women from mothers to young girls to just women, as many women as he could. And he would just simply approach them. He seemed like he didn't have much English, but he had enough English to say, hello, how are you? I'm from Russia. You are very beautiful. I like you, and exchange numbers and have them go to whatever it is. I don't know if he was in one place or he moved hotels or bed and breakfast. But then he would take these women and he would record them having sex. Now, the way he was recording, and my daughter told me about this a few months ago, and I was like, She's like, Mom, do you know that there are certain glasses that you can wear, and they have a tiny little camera? I think on one side there's a tiny little camera, and so boys, she's 20, she's in college, and she said, and boys are taking girls, having sex with them, and literally recording them without their knowledge on this this little recording device that they have on their glasses. And I said, my God, someone said, yeah, meta glasses, is that what they're called? I was like, that is just so disgusting. Like, who can you trust anymore? And, she was like, yeah, this is why some of us, just stay away totally. We don't trust anyone because, yeah, people are doing all sorts of things. And then, of course, once they do that, there are platforms here where you can literally post such stuff with impunity. X is one of them. I think on Telegram, you can put a whole bunch of that stuff as well. It's insane what goes on the internet, but it is what it is. So this guy is recording, and lo and behold, he goes and he uploads all of this stuff onto X. And the one in Kenya, I don't know how many women he went through. But the one in Ghana, I'm hearing he went through 500 women in the time he was there. So all of this stuff recorded and put up on the internet. Now, the internet, once anything is up on the internet, it doesn't die. It will stay there. You can delete and try to scrub, but it's there. Oh, wow, they were created by Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO. Wow, great. Thanks, Mark. Like, what use of are those? Like, they're probably useful, for example, if you go into an area and you want to get an inside story and you can't walk in with your camera or your phone, they're probably useful for that. But now look what they're being used for. But I think more importantly for me is I wanted us to have a discussion about this whole thing. Then another story that I saw, which made me wonder whether there's something more than what we're seeing, is that there's a French guy apparently who was caught in Senegal, and he was doing the same, but he was doing it with boys. And I'm not talking, they didn't say men, they said young boys. So I'm looking at this whole thing going on, and I'm asking myself, could there be more to this than meets the eye? I mean, is this just some perverts who are out there doing this, or is this something systemic, if you know what I mean? Is this parasitic system involved in what's going on? Because how is it possible that in a space of 3 days, there are 3 of these guys on the continent caught for the same thing? I think the Russians both were arrested, and I think the The French guy was also apprehended by the Senegalese police. But I think more importantly to me was the captions that he was writing on some of his videos. He said, the Russian guy in Kenya said, Kenya, you come to Kenya, they like wazungu, they love wazungu. You come to Kenya, you smile, and that's it. You ask for what you want, very easy, women. Cheap, cheap, cheap. This is him saying this as he walks into what looked like a retail store. I think it was, I can't remember if it was a Gap or something in a mall. And he's saying this as he's approaching a woman. And he's like, I want to see you later. And she's like, I'm busy tonight. Can I see you tomorrow? And she's like, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And I'm like, he was just demonstrating how easy it was for him to get all these women. I was a little bit, I was distressed, and I tried to listen to commentary from different people. Okay, there was the commentary from women who are saying, you know, this is terrible. You all should be ashamed of yourself. How can you stoop so low? There were some women who were like, with everything else that we now know about them other creatures, why on earth do you still trust them enough to actually get in the bed with them? Like, we already know enough. We know so much. Like, basically colonizer vibes, right? Colonizer, exploiter vibes. And so there are women who are saying that. Now, then there are men who are like, yeah, it serves you all right. Yeah, you don't want any of us. Yeah, you are all, you know, you're cheap. Definitely you're cheap. It was very, my emotions were mixed with that, because one of the things I do know, and I'm not making excuses for anybody in all this, but when you go to a city such as, say, Nairobi, listen, people are struggling over there. People are really struggling in the sense that in Nairobi, if you don't know anyone, you're in trouble. You cannot even get a job. You can have as many degrees as you want, but if you are not connected, you will not get that job. If you don't put out in some places, you will not get that job. So you have to put in what I call the hairy CV if you want to get a job. So we're talking about a place that has already got this rot and this malady, if you like, this sickness. And so Russian guy comes along and it's easy for him because the place already messed up anyway. And so they're thinking, okay, you know, the 30 minutes with the Russian guy and I get a bunch of money, I'm good. This is what I think also we need to look at, is the issue of poverty. It's very easy for those who are in privileged positions, like the women who are saying this is so disgusting, you should know, especially with dealing with the colonizer and stuff. And I'm like, you would be surprised that of all the hundreds and hundreds of women who have gone through this, none of them is actually awakened. None of them is here on the TikToks hearing about, goddess, and hearing about, how terrible colonization was. They're just hungry and they want to put food on the table. I can imagine that the women who are married, the women who have children, weren't doing this because it was fun. They were doing it for the money. So it speaks to the state of people or women within the continent and maybe across the whole world, because everywhere you go, Black women's bodies are exploited. And what lends them so easy for exploitation is poverty a lot of the times. You cannot tell me that if you gave an SEX worker $50,000 to start up her own business and do and start creating an income for herself, I find it hard to believe that she would actually take herself back on the streets. I find that hard to believe. I have often found that the women who say they enjoy this work have had to, remember, everything is mental, have had to work themselves into a position where they convince themselves they enjoy this so that they are able to go out there and do it. Because when you sit with a compassionate heart, and I've done that, and you ask, is this really, do you really want this? The first thing they'll say is, yeah, it's my job, I like it. And so it puts food on the table. But when you peel back the layers and you speak to the heart of the woman, that's where you find that, no, actually, this is destroying me, but I cannot focus on the fact that it's eating at my soul. I need to put food on the table for my children. So, family, there are many, many complex issues around this. Then there's one guy who I really like a lot. I like him because I don't always agree with him, but one thing about him is he's unequivocal about his truth. And a lot of the times he says things that nobody else wants to say. And he literally said, while you're all busy, i.e., Black men, laughing and heckling and shaming these women who did this, why aren't you looking at the fact that there is a reason why a Russian man can come onto the continent, a French man can come onto the continent and do all of that? If you as a Black man were to go to any of these countries, go to any other country that is not African, and you try that in any other population group, you would be unalived. And the Black men who live within those spaces would catch hell. And his thing was because these other men protect their women. They have understood, perhaps on a level, that without our women, we are nothing. So they do any and everything to do that. So if a man, a Black man, a melanated man was to go to these spaces, come to the US or go to the UK and do that, that man would catch hell, not just from the system, but from the population of white men in general. And all other Black men would catch hell. They would all be viewed with the same eye, that they were a danger to the women there. So his question was, why is that not so in Black communities when it comes to Black women? And his conclusion was that, he said, you're weak. You're weak. You're powerless. And that's why a man unarmed can come from some country and come into your spaces and desecrate your girls, your women, your sisters, your mothers like that. Because he knows you will do nothing. A lot of people were like, how did these men actually leave the continent? That's if they've left, with 2 legs still intact. How are they able to leave without something happening to them? I think that's a question for us as a community to really look again at that relationship between Black men and Black women. Because I think when Black women say Black men don't love us, a lot of Black men get defensive about that. A lot of Black men start saying, oh, that's not true. That's not true. But we have so much evidence to show that that is true. Now, we are not living under slavery. We're not living under colonization, where they would desecrate Black women in front of Black men, and you were powerless to do anything because they would have a gun to the back of your head. We're not in those times anymore. So are you telling me that there's some sort of generational paralysis or fear that has been instilled generational, that has gone down through the epigenetics, through the DNA, to the point where in this day where you can do something to stop this kind of thing, Black men still don't. How do you convince Black women that you love them in a situation like that? Because even in the comment section, the men were full, and all they were doing was like, yeah, we told you Black women are useless. We told you they're gold diggers. We told you they are SLUTSs. We told you that they have no value. We told you that they are worthless. Some were even saying things like, yeah, I'm going to get me a Chinese one. I'm going to marry me a Chinese woman. Another one is like, yeah, white women are better. Like, again, we find ourselves in that space where we are being denigrated, degraded, and compared to other groups of women by our own men. There was not a single empathetic man in any of those comments. It was shocking. Nobody was even bringing forward, sort of socioeconomic factors like poverty. Nobody was bringing in, hey, let's look at it from different points of view. Yes, it looks like these women did this so easily, but what are the conditions that many of these women are finding themselves? You would probably find that a lot of the women he was approaching are women who are really struggling. I don't imagine that he would approach a girl who's doing well, who's got her own things, just like that. And within 5-10 minutes of talking to her, she's in a motel with him on her back. I don't see that. And so for the fact that nobody wanted to, among the comments that I saw, maybe there were some men who were empathetic, but all I saw was just toxicity. The fact that none of them were willing to even say, no, man, the factors that could be involved here are this. Because when we look at it, the women may not have been victims in terms of going, because it looked consensual. So they were not victims in terms of getting into the act, but they were victims in terms of being filmed and put on the internet, family. They found themselves in a situation where they thought, okay, this is something private. It'll be kick. I'll get my money. I'll get the hell out of here. I'll never see this person again. I'll go home to feed my kids. I got some money. I can go buy groceries. I can do this, that, and the next thing. This was probably the thinking, that this is quick, easy money. I'm struggling over here. They didn't consent to being filmed and put all over the internet. So, family, I'm just saying all this so that these are conversations we need to have. That is why a lot of Black women will tell you that Black men don't protect us and they were never protectors of us. And that is a huge trust issue right there. And then Black men will tell us we're there to protect you, to be there for you, and soften into your feminine. We're the only group of women in the planet that has not had the privilege of ever really softening into our femininity. And I'm talking as a group, not as individuals, because within there are always exceptions to the norm, right? Somebody, the king, says we are limited based on economics. I hear you. I hear you very well. But by the same token, it doesn't take economics to stand up for your sisters. It doesn't take economics to show support. It doesn't take economics when you see a sister being beaten on the street by some thug to step in and defend or protect her, no matter what the circumstance, because no woman should be beaten up by a guy. But a lot of the times, and I'm talking from personal experience, I've seen men literally turn the other way as if it's none of their business. So where is the protection there? So it's not always about the economics. But this current situation, even right here on the internet, the outrage we should have been seeing is an outrage not from just Black women, but an outrage from our men. That is how we will know that no matter what, we are protected. See, a lot of the times people don't realize that the reason why many Black women go for the economics of what do you bring to the table as a man? Can you bring economics? Is because they feel that there's literally nothing else to you but the money. I want to be honest with you. They don't feel emotionally supported. They don't feel. So they're like, okay, listen, let's make this transactional. You want to be with me? Let's make it about the money, because there's not you have nothing else to offer. If anything, you bring problems. But if as a community we saw that there are upstanding men who can stand even this thing on the internet, if the outrage had been from Black men saying he must be found, even if you're a keyboard warrior in your house, but you put your voice in support of your sisters who've been victimized by this foreigner, that would have gone a long way in trying to repair the already totally messed up relationship between Black men and Black women. You're right, King. They made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. One thing I've always asked myself is, how is it that Black men, when they see a Black woman, don't see their mother or their sister or a child or their niece? And then the answer became clear, because even in those spaces where it does involve mom or sis or niece or nephew, most times it's Black men we're having to protect these people from. So it's almost like it's an insidious, horrible hate for self. There's a deep self-hatred there. And I think, for what it's worth, if I may humbly offer, because I work predominantly with women, but I really think that this is something Black men need to do. Why aren't you all forming healing groups and dealing with some of your issues, guys? This is really a critical time we're in. I can't form a healing group for men. I don't think I could last in there. Too much testosterone. And many men are not willing to hear the truth from a woman. Most men will hear the truth from a guy. That's why when I saw that guy's video and he said it, he was so angry. When he said, you're weak, you're powerless. I think he said, and you're pathetic. I'll find the video. But his anger was, why are you, instead of victimizing these women, can't you see the bigger problem here? Which is our lack of involvement, in as people, as the strong physically in the community to protect our sisters. Why aren't you seeing that? Instead, you're busy. There's somebody who unalived herself because of all this, guys. In Kenya, I think it was. She ended up unaliving herself, I think, probably seeing all this on the internet. And then I heard that apparently the Russian guy was HIV infected. Some are saying, next to her there was a HIV test or something. So it's a lot. How many women are going to unalive themselves because of this? How many women right now are cowering in shame and guilt because of all this? Because they thought they were doing something. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to judge. They thought they were doing something to get them a little bit of money, little knowing that, no, actually, they're going to be the victims of a terrible, terrible act, which is recording somebody without their consent and then proceeding to post it for the world to see with captions like, Kenya, easy, easy, easy. I just say hello. I say, you are very beautiful. What's your name? I say, I want to see you. And that's it. And he proved it several times. He was here on TikTok. I don't know what his handle is. And I'm like, why isn't his TikTok shut down by now? Why isn't his TikTok shut down by now? If it had been any other group, if this had been in China or Japan, there would have been executions. Those guys would have been executed for doing that to their women. Execution. If it had been here, you know them guys, right? The ones that carry. There would have been lots of pew-pewing. And there would have been black men here who were pew-pewed because of the rage just spilling over. And of course, the crazy racism. Why aren't we like that? We're not protective of our community. We are so in disarray and we are so torn apart. Is it even fixable? I want to know what you guys think. I want to know for real. Is it even fixable, this rift between black men and women? Is it fixable? What do you guys think? Can this be fixed? Or is it a matter of let's scrap it all and start over? Because at times like this, it just gets really murky. Somebody says yes. Yes, you think it's fixable? Too many men only respect other men. And that's a big problem, especially in the age of the divine feminine. Just think about it. All the women I'm taking through Healing Circle, when they come out of that circle, potentially they won't have a partner. Because they will be so far ascended and so far evolved, they will literally be aligned with a totally different frequency than the frequency on which 90% of our men are existing right now. So I ask again the question, is this fixable? And women so want to heal. So I'm not going to stop the work that I do with women. Women want to heal and women need to heal because we have a big mandate ahead of us. The question is, are we going by ourselves on this mandate? It looks that way. It looks like we're on this mandate on our own so far because we are not seeing the upstanding men at all when it matters. When it matters, it's women rallying around other women, no matter the circumstance. Never mind the privileged ones who are like, "Ooh, how can you do something like that? You're so cheap." Those kind, they're either pygmishas or they are so privileged that they are not in touch with the reality of the majority of black women. It's not a majority of black women who have privilege in this world. Trust me. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage compared to the whole. And so part of the work we do as sisters, those who are able to do this healing work, is we need to start thinking about how are we going to use our magic? How are we going to activate our spiritual gifts so that we can even do remote healing in places and spaces where there's so much rot? You know, your townships, you know, your projects, where we know that our sisters in there don't have the capacity to do anything to get themselves out of that. And out of that, I don't necessarily mean out of the townships or out of the projects, but out of that. What are we going to do to shift with the help of Great Mother to help shift their consciousness? Because we can't go in one by one. That's not going to work in this time that we're in. It's going to have to be an agreement of those who have ascended, who are ascended, as to how we do this. How do we ritual this? Remember, before anything is physical, it starts in the spiritual. What do we imagine? What do we envision for our sisters in such circumstances, our baby girls in such circumstances? What is it that we're envisioning and manifesting for them? Perhaps that's the collective work that we are going to be having to engage in. Hi, Coco Rose. Nice to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the family. So I don't know, sisters. I don't know, brothers. I don't know. I just thought I would bring it forward, and so that it rattles our brains a little bit. It somebody's like build matriarchal institutions. It's the way it's going already anyway, because this whole patriarchy thing has us in a chokehold. It's enough now. It's enough. But for us to be able to build sacred matriarchal systems that don't mimic the patriarchy, because if we are not healed, we will simply perpetuate that which is already there. This is a system that's so entrenched and so horrible, and many of us have a lot of unlearning to do ourselves, even as we do spiritual work. It's so pervasive that we have to do so much work on ourselves so that we get ourselves prepared to listen in and create systems that are matriarchal, meaning that they are motherly, meaning that they include everybody. The matriarchy is not about hierarchy. This is the mistake a lot of men make when they say, oh my God, we're going from patriarchy to matriarchy. And then they project their own personal feelings about how they feel about women. And then they start to think that the way they themselves have treated women is the way women will treat them. We don't have time for that. Matriarchal systems, the very foundation of matriarchal systems is love. Something also that a lot of men and women don't really know the meaning of. Matriarchal systems are based on deep love and compassion. And that is how you build community, on deep love and compassion. Once you start to create hierarchies, you're already lost. Because a hierarchy in so many ways means somebody is greater than the other. Somebody matters more than somebody else. Somebody has the power to dominate, which is patriarchy. Is about domination, control, and violence. The matriarchy is the exact opposite. The matriarchy is not. It's about equanimity. It's about equanimity. It's about love, not about dominance. And when there is equanimity, then every group within that system knows and is comfortable in their role, knows and is comfortable doing that which they are called to do. Because once you have a hierarchy and somebody or there's a group over another, the group that is being controlled will eventually rebel. It always happens. They'll get to a point where they've had enough and then all hell breaks loose. So it has to be harmonious. So I know my sisters and brothers, like I said, I came here because I really wanted to hear your thoughts on all this, I'm going to repost this on YouTube. YouTube is a better place to write your comments. It would be so nice if you went follow, like, subscribe, comment, leave your comments if you have the energy to rewatch this or even based on what we're saying. Can we have matriarchal institutions in a capitalist society? No. We really cannot. How? Because inherent in capitalism is the patriarchy. Inherent in capitalism is the patriarchy, because capitalism says individualism. Do for you and acquire and acquire and acquire and acquire and amass. Right? Capitalism is about how do I get for me and mine's as much as possible. Capitalism is not community-based. Capitalism doesn't say, okay, I've amassed so much, but my neighbor has nothing. I've amassed so much for me and mine in excess, like I have more than I need, but my neighbor's children don't have shoes. It's none of my business. I take care of me and mine. That is a very individualistic, and it comes from patriarchy. If you go back, like on the continent, if you go to indigenous communities where abundance, and I'm not talking about wealth, but abundance is in nature. There are mango trees, there are fruit trees, people grow their own food. Nobody hoards basic necessities like that. You'll find that within a community, everyone is taken care of. If I grew some millet and for whatever reason my millet couldn't get harvested, something happened, let's say some bugs ate them all and there was nothing, me and my children will never starve in my village because everybody will bring from their surplus enough to make sure me and my kids are fed. I'll give you an example. When I was home, there's not a single day that went by without somebody within the village stopping by with greens or mangoes from their own tree. Not because we didn't have a bunch of mango trees, but just as an exchange. And my mom would take the mangoes out into a dish from the basket this person came with. And then my mom will go to her garden and she'll pick some baby pumpkins and some pumpkin leaves and put them in the basket and close it and give and say, thank you so much. That is how indigenous communities live. Nobody goes hungry. Nobody goes unclothed. When my mom used to leave here to go back home, she would collect all my girls' clothes. She would say, anything you're not wearing, don't throw away, give to me, give. She'd go home with a bunch of stuff. And what she does at home is somebody just comes and greets her to say, oh, how are you, auntie, or whatever. She sees already that, no, things are not well. She'll say, wait here. She'll go into her big storeroom where all these clothes are. And she'll go through stuff and maybe find my brother's old t-shirt and a pair of shorts. She'll fold them nicely and she'll go and say, my son, here. Not in any condescending way, but she sees a need and she fills it because she can. And that is how indigenous communities operate. When I was in the village, we hardly spent any money. You didn't need to. On what? Everything we needed was there. The town is like what? An hour away? We didn't even need to go to town. For what? Everything we needed was there. There were cows that had calves. If we wanted milk, milk was there. Fruit was there. Vegetables were there. If we wanted chickens, there were, free-range chickens running around in the yard. Chase a chicken, catch it, and, that's dinner. So what I'm trying to show you is that you cannot compare community living and then put capitalism in there. They don't go together. Capitalism was designed for that Western individualistic approach to life. And this is where that terrible competitiveness comes in too, is because of capitalism. Men will compete against itself to see how many resources can I amass. And now since women are also in the workforce, men are competing with women based on finances and those resources. And we've lost our values. We don't even know the intrinsic value of a person outside money and material possessions anymore. We weigh the value of a human being based on money and material possessions. We choose our friends and associates based on money and material possessions. We choose who deserves to be in our circle or not based on money and material possessions. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we've lost our values as Abantu. the children of Ntu, the children of Nut. We've lost it. And so, no, it cannot be found in a capitalistic system. That was a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered your question. Hi, Zani. Grand Rising to you. I know you're in the Southern Hemisphere if you're saying Grand Rising. Someone says, we've lost our essence. We need to find it. This is why we need to go back to nature. We need to go back to source. We need to go back to Great Mother. She is the greatest teacher of that which is nature, of that which is natural to us, of that which is Ubuntu. Failure to do that, then, Hey, Debs, thank you for being here. We have to go back to source. We have to go back to source. And the only people who are going to bring sanity right now, the real call, the call to action is to the daughters of Great Mother. That is why we have to do our own individual healing so that we can get into the heart space. Because many of us are so wounded, we're not in the heart space. We don't operate from the heart space. Many of us are so wounded, and unless you are in that heart space, you also miss the point. The heart space is where it all is. And when I say the heart space, family, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we need to be all woo-woo, woo-woo, all love and light. No, we're going to need to fight many battles. But it's the intention when I talk about the heart space. What is your intention when you go into battle over something? What is your intention when you utter certain words? That is the heart space. Anything that does not come from the heart space or that comes from a hardened heart will do harm. Now, we may need to do what looks like harm in order to correct what is going on. But again, the heart space. So the perception of what it looks like doesn't matter. What was the intention? Because look, we're fighting an ugly system. We're fighting an ugly parasitic system. And so it's not going to be all woo, om. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. Sometimes we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and we're going to need to take them spears out, them bows and arrows out. We're going to need to take them roots out. Yeah. But it's the intention. What is our intention for doing that? Are we doing it because we're vengeful? Are we doing it because we want to hurt others? Or are we doing it because some things need to be corrected? There are many wrongs out there that are going to need to be corrected. Many things that have gone wrong, that are going to need to be right. And it's not going to be easy. Tania be reading. So teaching Ma'at may be the first step. Yeah, the 42 confessions of Ma'at. We're in that. But alongside that is also the deep inner healing. See, as long as you're wounded and you have trauma and all those things, that stuff hinders your ascension to the heart space. It keeps you stuck around the root and the sacral chakra. And the energy just circles there. And for Black communities, this is where we're at. We're stuck in the root chakra. Sometimes I have a vision that they have attacked our root chakra, and that's why we stay stuck there. The root chakra, the place of fear, the place of lust, the place of all things dense and material is where they have us stuck. Many of us have a hard time ascending because that root chakra is not healed, so we're not properly grounded. Then comes to the sacral chakra. Well, they've desecrated that. They continue to desecrate it. And it doesn't help that our men help in the desecration too. Like I've always said, there's so many things where if our men said, we don't want this, there would be no market for it. Prostitution is one. If our men said, we are not touching this, we don't want this, there's no market. Sisters would be forced off the streets and look for other alternatives. Because therein lies the true desecration. It's like that porn industry. There is a market for it. People are making billions. And there's also a lot of... See, and you don't realize these things were created and you think it's entertainment. But these are hubs for energy harvesting of the divine feminine of Black women. You think this Russian guy came here to show you guys that it's easy to get Kenyan women? It's very easy. African women are easy. Look, in 5 minutes. They unconscious think that I'm going to do this quickly and get some money. That guy, how much energy did he harvest from 500 women? From 500 melanated women? Think about it. That is why I say we always need to expand our view of these things. So when I heard this guy in Senegal was doing it to little boys, then another Russian guy in Ghana, I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Aren't these just batteries coming to charge, parasites coming to leech? Because there's a lot of energy harvesting when that is going on. So sister thinks, I'm getting me 500, I don't know how much in terms of money, Kenyan shillings or however much. And the Ghanaian CDs, sisters, they're getting their CDs. But they don't even know that what they've given away. Because remember, I've said to you, these parasites are losing power. These parasites are losing energy. So who's to say how many more are out there? And this is total desecration of the divine feminine, because to then put all that stuff out there on social media. I haven't watched any of them, by the way, because every time I see one, I cannot do that stuff. I cannot. There's no need for me to watch it to know that it happened, right? I'm not going to feed my subconscious horrific images that will actually drain my energy. Because that's the thing. Whatever it is you give your energy, it's going to take it. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that to myself. Worse for me because I'm an empath, and worse for me because I work very closely with women. I cannot, that kind of stuff totally, it's disturbing enough to hear it. What more to see it? I will not ever do that to myself. So I don't know, family. The Black nation, this is our time of reckoning. We're either going to sink or swim. But there's already a group, and that is the women. Black women are saying, we're not sinking with this ship. So brothers, are you in or are you out? And if you're out, then don't distract us and don't disturb us from saving ourselves. We want to save ourselves and to save our children. We want out of this. If you are okay staying there, stay. But don't then distract us or try to stop us who want to exit. That's where it's at now. And all you need to do is go through the socials, any socials, to see that the Black goddess is here. They're here. And many are talking about how they have found peace just by themselves, and how by themselves their nervous system has calmed down. They are peaceful. They are more creative. They are more productive. Their children are happier. Their skin has cleared up. They are aging backwards since they stopped having anything to do with men. And mind you, I am not seeing any conscious Black women who are saying, we are not going to go with Black men, therefore we are going for Chinese and white and Indian and whatnot. They're not. They're like, we're happy being by ourselves. Because that consciousness tells them that it's not going to be any different there. Remember, we have borne the brunt and have seen and know exactly what all those other groups think of us as black men, black women. That's why they put us at the very bottom of their ladder. You know, that ladder of theirs where it says black woman at the bottom, then black man, then all the other people, and then white woman, and then white man at the top. We're very aware of that. And many of us have in our ancestry, great grandmothers, great grandmothers who were RAPE'd by these women. So we carry even within us that epigenetic trauma from our ancestors. You honestly think we're going to go from you into the hands of a YTE, palm colored? How? Those gogos would have a fit. They would probably clot our blood in no time. I know my ancestors would. My blood would clot within my veins. I would be petrified if I dared. I'm just joking, but who knows? I mean, I'm repulsed just by the idea. So family, I thought we could have a discussion. Somebody's laughing. S9, the atom. You're laughing. It's true. So I don't know. Do any comments, any questions? If there are none, I think I've said what I needed to say. I just I'm heartbroken, but like I said, seeing it from many different perspectives at this point, and just watching what else unfolds. I mean, if we keep hearing more of this, then we'll know for a fact that this is systematic. This is strategic. You know. I think what tires many of us in the Black nation is that when we see things like that happening, the people who are supposed to also assist. Now, I'm not talking about just Black men on the ground. I'm also talking now about the parasitic systems. And it's like, the parasitic system is not going to come and help with anything like this. How many girls have been flying from Kenya and Uganda to Dubai? And now I'm hearing there's a lot of Zimbabweans going too. I'm even hearing there's some young South African girls who want to fly out to Dubai to work. They get there, they get their passports taken. They go through some satanic, and I use that word loosely, rituals like you cannot imagine. But they don't know they're going for that because they think they're going for a job, maybe as an au pair to work within a family, take care of the kids. They have no idea. When they get there, their passports, phones, everything is taken away from them. And you're told, okay, you're here for a 6 months contract. And for 6 months, they're going through the most. All manner of hideous things, including bestiality. Yeah, some of these people have dogs. It's all ritual. I'm talking really, really wealthy Arabic people, families there. You get kept in a basement, you get fed, you go up to clean, maybe to do a bit of laundry, and then you go to the basement and you wait till nighttime. Where the boss and his cronies, or if it's just a family thing, it's the boss comes and he has a dog. And he says, when I finish with you, you go and do the dog. And the dog seems to know very well what the dog needs to do. This is the part that you end up hating animals for nothing, because obviously the dog is trained, or maybe it's not really a dog, but there's a spirit within the dog that is harvesting her energy, and they are very wealthy. Then after your 6 months, you get given your passport and whatever money they pay you, 100,000 rand, 200,000 rand, off you go. But what's left of you? Is there any money worth that kind of desecration? But it's happening. And all our men can do is criticize us and call us, hoes and the B word and, what do you bring to the table? Call us, we have no value. Who do we run to? We have nowhere to run except a great mother at this point, to be honest with you. We have nowhere to run except to ourselves and to Great Mother. And that's why we're coming into community faster and faster than ever before. Because we realize that we're on our own. And the state of the world and whether it changes is up to us. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And I think we need to face that reality. You know, we need to face that reality. Yeah. So family. Yeah, it's sad, but we're not going to stay in our sadness, Zani. We cannot stay in our sadness. We need to always go to a place of gratitude, even when we feel sad. Gratitude that we can even have a conversation like this. Gratitude that we are not talking about a situation that doesn't have a solution. It's not a solution within this realm. It's not a solution that can be implemented now, today, here, now. It is a solution that has its roots in the spiritual realm. It's a solution that has its roots in alignment and ascension. So if you're prepared to go there, if you're prepared to do that work, we have a solution. We have a solution. You know. The key is to trust ourselves, to trust the cosmos, to trust Great Mother. And I have 500% trust in her. That's why, yes, I'm sad momentarily. It's disheartening and heartbreaking because, you know, if you have a certain innocence about you, when some of these things come out, you're going to feel it. If you're an empath, no matter what, when stuff like this comes out, you're going to feel it. The key is this, Zani. Let that energy pass through you. Don't hold it. Don't hold it. Feel whatever it is you feel and then let it pass through you. Let it go. Don't sit in it. Don't hold on to it. That's why I keep saying, guard the things you consume on the socials. There's some things we can't control, but there's plenty that we can. Have days where you don't even go on the socials at all. Don't. Or if you do, make sure you know exactly where you're going on the socials in your phone and look for something that'll make you laugh. Look for some songs that'll make you dance. But you cannot on a daily sit in a feed on your news feed and it's disaster upon disaster. Disgusting thing after disgusting thing. Like you're consuming. You think you're not, but you are literally consuming. You're feeding your subconscious all these horrible images and these horrible stories. Where do you think they're going to go? So we have to get it out. You know, take time away out. Go and cook. Switch off your phone. Put on some music. You know. Get some food, some greens. Start chopping your greens, your onions, or whatever. Prepare a meal for yourself or for your family. You know, let's do healing things. That's one way we can help ourselves and help our bodies and our nervous system during this time. Yeah? Yes, and then grounding. For those of you where it's nice and warm, right now, I yearn for the sun like nobody's business. Every time I stumble upon a video of someone in Africa going, oh my God, it's so hot. I'm like, I would exchange places with you in a heartbeat because I need that heat. I want to walk barefoot. I want to take off all this stuff and let the sun hit my skin. Like I want to feel that heat. It is freezing here. We're in an ice box, basically. So, but we're grateful. We're grateful. Queenie's like, seriously, I hate being cold in this country. Yes. Yes, I want to sweat too. Man, I want to be able, I want to sweat. I know. Not from hot flashes though. I want to sweat from the sun on my skin, you know, from the heat. It's kind of radiating off the ground. Yeah, I feel you, Queenie. I feel you. But anyway, family, I like I said, I just came on so we could have this discussion. Hopefully there are things to think about. Sani is asking, where am I based? Currently, I am in the US. So currently, I'm in the US. I go back and forth, actually, but I'm currently this side. Yeah. Somebody's like, you're missing out on the solar flares. We feel the energy. The energy of the solar flares does affect us. I mean, the high pitch ringing in the ears, the twitchiness of your body, the restless sleep. We feel the energy of the flares, but we're not feeling the heat of it, you know? So, no, we feel that energy for sure. You know, it's crazy making sometimes, but yeah. All right, family. I think we will call it a night this side. And again, grand rising, beautiful sun rising to those of you in the south. And I'll see you again soon. I love you, Black Nation. Always and forever.